Hello there, my Charger friends. It's Mrs. Boyd here this evening, today, this morning, whatever it is you're listening to me. For me, it's the evening. Anywho, special right triangles is what we're doing today. We're going to start out with 45, 45, 90 triangles. When I say that, I mean two of the angles are 45 degrees and one of them is 90. That's why this is a special case. As always, the Pythagorean theorem will work if you know two of the angles. If you don't, you only know one or two of the sides. If you only know one of the sides, I'm going to teach you some shortcuts and tricks that will help you to figure out what the other sides are. So if we use a Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and we've got a, b, and c, the hypotenuse is between the two 45-degree angles, we can say that a and b are both in instead of a and b. If we combine like terms on the left, we can say that's 2n squared equals c squared. If we want to get the c alone, we can take the square root of each side, and we have the square root of 2n squared is c. Well, the square root of n squared is just n. So c is n times the square root of 2. So if we want to go from a leg, an n, to a hypotenuse, we multiply by the square root of 2. If we want to go from hypotenuse, from a c, to a leg, an n, we divide by the square root of 2. All right, it's just that simple. Don't make it harder than it is. So we want to find a. We have our two legs are 3, and the hypotenuse is a. So that means a is just 3 times the square root of 2. We're going from a leg to hypotenuse. We just multiply by square root of 2. 5½ are both legs, and we want to know b. Well, b is 5½ times the square root of 2. We want to know c this time. C is the leg of the 45, 45, 90 triangle, and our hypotenuse is 5. So c is going to be 5 divided by the square root of 2. Well, you might remember we really dislike having a square root on the bottom of a number in the denominator. So to get rid of that, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. Whatever the square root is in the bottom, we multiply by. So on the top, we have 5 square root of 2. And on the bottom, we have 2 times 2 is 4, so that's the square root of 4. The difference is we know the square root of 4. The top stays the same, and the bottom is just 2. All right, that's going to be as hard as these get. Next, we want to know d. D is the leg of the triangle. So we're going to divide the hypotenuse by square root of 2. Those cancel. So d, that was wrong. Let's just start over here. D is 3. Now, we know the legs are 5 square root of 5. Yeah, 5 square root of 5. So to find e, we multiply 5 square root of 5 times the square root of 2. We multiply roots. We just multiply what's under them and go on with life. And that's the answer, 5 square root of 10. One more here. We know the hypotenuse. We want to know the legs. In that case, we divide by the square root of 2. Again, we hate square roots on the bottom, so we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by whatever the square root is on the bottom. So f's going to be 4 times the square root of 6. We know square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. I can simplify it just a little bit more, and I've got 2 times the square root of 6. All right, that is the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Flip your paper over, and we're going to learn about the 30, 60, 90 triangle. This one is called such because we have one 30-degree angle, one 60-degree angle, and one 90-degree angle. Again, you can use the Pythagorean theorem for these as well if you know two of the three side lengths. Excuse me. Let's plug in what we know for our side lengths. We're going to call this A, B, and C. Well, A is n, so that's n squared, plus b squared, and that's going to equal, the hypotenuse is really 2n squared. So let's simplify. N squared plus b squared equals 4n squared. Well, I can take that, so 1n squared over to the other side, and I've got b squared equals 3n squared. Need to get b all by itself, so I square root each side, and I've got b equals square root of 3n squared, or n times the square root of 3. So if I have a short leg and I want a hypotenuse, I'm going to multiply by 2 because this one's n and I want to get to 2n. And if I have a short leg and I want to get a long leg, I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3. If I have a long leg and I need a short leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. If I have a hypotenuse and I need a short leg, I'm going to divide by 2. If I have a hypotenuse and I want a long leg, or a long leg and I want a hypotenuse, I'm going to find the short leg first. Okay, find the short leg first. So we're going to use that table as a helper to help us to get through these problems for now. Okay, I've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle. All of these are 30, 60, 90 right triangles. I want to know x and y. Well, if I know the short leg and I want to know the long leg, I'm going to multiply by 2. Or I want to know the hypotenuse. X is the hypotenuse, sorry. So x is 4 times 2, or 8. If I know the short leg and I want to know the long leg, I multiply by the square root of 3. So that's 4 square root of 3. It might help, especially at first, to label short leg, long leg, hypotenuse, like I did with geometric mean. Okay, x in this case is the short leg, so I can take my hypotenuse and divide it by 2 and get the short leg. That's 5. If I now want to know the long leg, I multiply that short leg by the square root of 3. And I did it. Let's label our sides again. Short leg, hypotenuse, long leg. I have the long leg and I want to know the hypotenuse and the short leg. Well, I'm always going to find the short leg first in this case. So my x is going to be divide by square root of 3. So 4 square root of 3 divided by square root of 3. Those guys cancel and I'm left with 4. Now to find y, the hypotenuse, I take the long leg, or the short leg times 2 and get 8 for the hypotenuse. Scoot it up, last couple. Label our sides, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. I have the hypotenuse and I want to know the short leg and the long leg. So x, the short leg, is going to be the hypotenuse over 2. So 6.5 for the short leg. For the long leg, I multiply that by the square root of 3. Again, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. I've got the long leg and I want the hypotenuse and the short leg. So to get the short leg first, I'm going to take the long leg and divide by the square root of 3. We hate that square root on the bottom, so we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the bottom radical. That's going to become 2 square root of 15 over 3. That's as good as it gets. Just leave it just like that. The hypotenuse is going to be twice that. So we do 2 square root of 15 over 3. Multiply that by 2, and we get y is not 2, 4 square root of 15 over 3. Last but not least, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. To get the, we have the short leg to get the hypotenuse, we multiply the short leg by 2, so that's 6 square root of 2. And to get the long leg, we're going to multiply by the square root of 3. So 3 square root of 2 times the square root of 3 is 3 square root of 6. And that's it, kids. That's all we got. Let me know if you have any trouble. If you have any questions, I'm here to help.